Hey, how's it going everybody? ChenWin26 here, back with the Blaziken Chronicles, and today I will be showcasing the double fire team that I used on stream yesterday. Those of you that were there for the live stream, these battles won't be new for you, but those of you that are watching it for the first time, welcome. And if you want to check out the full VOD, then you can just go to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ChenWin26, and check out the full stream if you want, and check out the rest of the battles that I'm not showcasing right now. But yeah, over the past couple of days, I've been playing Blaziken quite actively just because I think it's really strong and underrated. It's flying under the radar and it's just a solid response to the influx of XL Pokemon that we've been seeing lately, assuming you're in the, 3,000 plus range, give or take. So yeah, this is the team I was using, and I will say this right now. In this first match, I lose. I lose the match, and I am honestly not upset with the way it turned out, because the way that this player won, they had a big pair of cojones. That's what I'm going to say. A big pair of cojones, because the way that they won was just so surprising and just so risky. I was just flabbergasted at the way they won. But you'll see for yourselves when I start the match right now. So I played Mother Shadows the past couple of days, and, they've been intense games. So Blaziken into Dragonite. Unfavorable lead for myself, but it's not the worst matchup. And there's two ways to play this out. Assuming you have Brave Bird or Stone Edge, you can either A, go for the big charge move right away, so either the Brave Bird or the Stone Edge, or you can go for the Blaze Kick bait after you feign a Stone Edge or a Brave Bird, and then go for another Blaze Kick. The way I decide to play it out is I feign a Brave Bird, so I charge up to a Brave Bird, and then I throw back-to-back Blaze Kicks. And I will say this right now, it is IV dependent, so just be very careful if you try to go for this approach. My Blaziken is relatively decent, so I can still get to 2 moves. So I get the second Blaze Kick off, and I just bring in my Empoleon. They safe swap to Snorlax to deny the farm down, which is smart. Unfortunately, I don't have a solid response for this Snorlax, so I'm just going to stay in with my Empoleon. And in this position, it's very tricky because I don't know what they have in the back. So I need to make the decision of whether I want to essentially sack my Charizard or preserve my Empoleon. And in this case, I decide to sack my Empoleon. So I'm not going to shield it, I'm just going to let it go. A Superpower, as expected, and I'm just going to bring in Charizard. This is going to be a Body Slam, but because they're debuffed by the Superpower, I'm just going to take it. And I'm just going to proceed to farm down the Snorlax. So their third Pokemon is a Magnezone, which is very unfortunate for myself. I know this is a Mirror Shot because they only threw 5 Sparks. It takes 6 for a Wild Charge, so I know it's technically a bait per se. Unfortunately, the Dragonite has the move, so I'm forced to shield right here. But on a good note, that the Fire Spin went through before the Dragon Claw went off, so I'm able to farm down Dragonite. As you can see, this is the pivotal moment of the game, and I decide to go for the bait. If I had enough energy, I would definitely back-to-back Blast Burn, so it's essentially a 50-50. The opponent needs to call the bait, and they call it right. Unbelievable. And in the moment of this game, I'm like, this person is insane. Like, there are not many people that have the, the patience or like the restraint to make a call like that, and I was just so impressed and so shocked as well. Good games to my opponent, Mother of Shadows. It was a, despite the unfavorable lead, I think I played it out fairly well for the most part. But yeah, that was just that was a tough pill to swallow, that loss. I think to myself, if I just threw the Blast Burn, I could have easily won. But it's a 50-50, so I can't be too upset with that. So Blaziken into Lapras. This is a favorable matchup for myself. A little bit of desync right there. My opponent decides to swap out the Toxicroak, and I just bring in my Charizard as a response. I resist the counters, and I do have shields, so it's a decent matchup. And I need to make the decision, either call the bait or shield. It takes 8 counters to get to the Sludge Bomb, so in this case I decide to shield and I call it right, which is perfectly fine with me. I just want to farm up a bit of energy, and then I'm going to throw the Blast Burn. I usually don't recommend throwing a Dragon Claw because it's not going to KO at that range. And maybe they were expecting it, which is why they didn't shield. So yeah, I'm down to shield, but at the very least I preserve my switch advantage. And it's very doubtful that I get to a second charge move, so I'm just going to go for the Blast Burn right away. Yeah, so I didn't get to another charge move, which is fine. The Lapras is going to throw a Surf. I'm not going to shield. And I'm just going to come back in with I actually decided to bring in Empoleon because I know the Lapras has energy. So I didn't want to take a potential Surf with my Blaziken and go down to shield. And I'm going to throw a Blaze Kick at this Machamp. I expect them to shield. And they do. Just some food for thought. It takes 6 counters to get to a Blaze Kick, and it takes 5 counters to get to a Cross Chop. So, technically speaking, the Machamp does outpace Blaziken. Fortunately for me though, before I swapped out to Charizard in the earlier matchup, I was able to throw a few counters to get a bit of residue energy, and I'm able to outpace the Machamp. So the Blaze Kick goes off, which is very fortunate for me. And my opponent decides to surrender. I was a little surprised. I think it was still playable, but maybe they didn't have Skull Bash, or maybe they thought they were going to lose in the no shield regardless, so it's fine with me. I'm not going to, complain over a win. So third battle against Wind Hobbit. Another Lapras. So, as usual, I will stay in. And this opponent is actually deciding to play it out a bit differently. So, they decide to stay in. I'm assuming they're going to sack their Lapras. And I'm just going to go for the Blaze Kick to chip it down. They don't shield, so their intention was to sack it right away. I'm going to shield this. It doesn't KO from this range, but it does a really big amount of damage. And I'm just going to throw the Blaze Kick here just to prevent them from getting another Surf off. They would be able to get to another Surf if I decide to try to farm them down. And I do remember this match, and I do remember that my opponent heavily misplayed this matchup, and you're going to see it firsthand. So fortunately for me, I get to another Blaze Kick, and here I'm thinking I'm probably not going to get to another charge move. I get that first shield, which is perfectly fine. And my opponent tries to farm me down, which is a very risky play, and unfortunate for them because I still get to another charge move. This time around they don't shield, which is fine because they know I have Blaze Kick and they should survive. I bring in Empoleon because a lot of Gengars usually have Sludge Bomb. Some have Shadow Ball, but Sludge Bomb is more common. And they don't even get to use the rest of their energy, which is very unfortunate for them. They have a Venusaur in the back, and my Charizard aligns with it. So at this point, the game is pretty much over. They don't really have a win condition. It basically takes 3 Sludge Bombs to KO my Charizard, 2 to KO, and 1 to get my last shield. But it doesn't really matter at this point. Even if they miraculously somehow KO'd my Charizard, I still have Empoleon with over 75% HP, so there was no way they were going to win the match after losing their Gengar. And good game. On to the 4th match against Elris. Blaziken into Swampert. Very unfavorable for myself, but based on my team cup, I'm forced to stay in this matchup. I can't bring in my best response Empoleon, otherwise my entire backline is exposed to Swampert if they choose to switch out. So I do need to stay in. I'm going to shield this. I need to charge up to a Brave Bird and either go for the bait or go for the big play. And I'm going to go for the bait. It's relatively a lot safer. Most people decide to shield. And I do get the first shield, which is perfectly fine. The Swampert is still relatively healthy, so I choose to invest my second shield just to get it a bit more chip damage. And they swap out immediately. I bring in my Empoleon, and this Charizard has Dragon Breath, so fortunately for me, I will be able to farm it down completely. They will get a Blast Burn off here, but it does not KO my Empoleon at full HP. And because Dragon Breath generates energy so much slower compared to, Fire Spin and Wing Attack, I'm able to farm it down completely and not get hit by a Dragon Claw. And at this point, they bring in Escavalier, and as you can see, I tried to throw a Hydro Cannon, but I got countered down. And in my mind, I'm thinking, that is such a huge mistake. But then I come back to reality and say to myself, I have a Charizard. I can farm down this Escavalier all the way with no issue whatsoever. I make sure not to wait out the switch clock because it doesn't benefit me to wait out the switch clock for them to potentially swap out. So I farm it down all the way. I have a lot of energy, and I'm just going to throw the Blast Burn. I get the final shield, which is expected. Going for the Blast Burn is too much of a greedy play, so I'm just going to go for the Dragon Claw. I know my Blaziken still has a Blaze Kick ready, and Blaziken is going to win the CMP against Swampert. So at this point, I already think to myself it's GG. This opponent definitely could have won the game if they stayed in with the Swampert instead of giving up Swap. But unfortunately, as you saw, Swap advantage pretty much determined the game, and at this point it's over. There's nothing they can do. I get the Blaze Kick off, the Swampert goes down, GG's to my opponent. And yeah, Swampert against my team is very difficult. I'm forced to stay in. And on to the last match, King Kong. And they have an Abomasnow lead. One of the best leads I can hope for with Blaziken. And they bring in Clefable. So I immediately swap to Empoleon. Very favorable matchup for myself. I resist the charm. Like, going into Charizard and Empoleon are both fine. I choose to bring in Empoleon because I know that I don't have to shield anything. And I can still KO it without having to shield. They decide to use their first shield, which is a little surprising to me. It was a little confusing for myself, but, it is what it is. They get the Moonblast off. I know I survived this, so I'm just going to throw the Hydro Cannon. It will KO at this range, so they need to make a decision. Either double down on shields or give up Swap and lose a shield. And in this case, they double shield to win Swap. Unfortunately for them, I have 2 solid responses for Abomasnow, so I was very content with farming down the Clefable and being up 2 shields. Even if they had a hard response like a Swampert or like a Gyarados, I was confident that with 2 shields I could win this match no matter what. They decide to catch a Blast Burn with their Abomasnow, but no matter how they tried to play this out, it was pretty much GG just due to team comp and, alignment. Yeah, I'm just going to throw another Blast Burn because they don't have any shields. And at this point, my chat is telling me, hey, Chen, you gotta screenshot this because you're facing Charm Hole. And, do what the chat wants. I'll screenshot. Unfortunately, it was a little off because the Blast Burn didn't KO. But, it's always satisfying being a Charm Hole team. Honestly, I'm just not a fan of it. But, I don't have any ill intent towards players that do play it. Everybody's entitled to, play whatever they want, and that's perfectly fine with me. Play the game how you want to enjoy it. As you can see, I went 4-1 this set. I'm just dropping a star piece because I invested a premium pass, and it's just another good way to accumulate dust in a short amount of time. I get an Eevee for my reward, but nothing special. Not a hundo, so it's usually just going to go to the grinder. I started at 31.39 and I jump up to 31.81, so really decent amount of points for a 4-1. And I'm just going to go straight into the next set. So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, I went 4-1 with this team. There's no real reason to change it. Hopefully, I can replicate that at success and going into my next set and just going into the next battle. So this is the first battle of the second set. Blaziken into Umbreon. So I automatically assume that, you know, when I see an Umbreon, it's XL. They swap out immediately and they bring in a Clefable. So yeah, I just immediately respond with my own Empoleon. And I'm just going to throw the Hydro Cannon. So the ball's in their court. If they want to shield, that's perfectly fine. But yeah, they decide not to shield. I know I can take a charge move, so at this point, I'm guaranteed to win swap, especially because a Waterfall went through right there. So I assume they're going to come back in with their Umbreon, which they do. At this point, I just got to make sure to get this Hydro Cannon off, and if possible, get to another Hydro Cannon. And fortunately for me, I'm able to get to a second Hydro Cannon, which is really important in hindsight, and you'll see. I get the second Hydro Cannon off, and this Umbreon is less than 50% HP, which is really good for myself. And this is a tricky position because I don't know what they have in the back, so I don't know if I need to preserve my HP or not. But in this situation, I decide to let it go. I get hit by a last resort, and they have a Togekiss in the back. So here, I just want to chip it down or potentially pull a shield. So I'm just going to throw the Blaze Kick, and they need to make a decision. So I get the first shield, which is really good. So now I just swap to my Charizard. The safe play is just to go straight Blast Burn. I have 2 shields, and I will definitely get to the moves. They throw the Ancient Power, and they get the boost. So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, are you serious? Come on, like, this game really wants me to lose, even though I had such a solid lead. But at this point, it doesn't even matter, because they're down a shield on me, and I still have 2 Blast Burns. Even with the defense increase, they won't survive this Blast Burn. My switch clock isn't up yet, so I can't swap out right away. And I could have tried to go for the Blast Burn, but I felt like it was going to be a little too risky. So to be safe, I'm just going to throw the Dragon Claw, and then I'm going to swap out immediately. I still have a shield, so I'm confident that this game is pretty much over. And GG's to my opponent. So another Charm Hole team. Doesn't have much play, especially with the way that my Pokemon aligned. But yeah, very unfavorable for them. Can't be helped, it's just part of the game. On to the next match against Mr. JJ. Blaziken into Abomasnow. Very favorable for myself, so I expect them to swap out immediately. They safe swap into a Venusaur, and I just bring in my Charizard. So at this point, I'm kind of just laughing because I just feel terrible winning like this. Like, they just get hard countered right off the bat. So basically, the onus is on me to mess up royally in order for them to get this win. And I'm baffled at this point. Like, this is just too good to be true. Not too much like critique needed here. I just need to make sure that I don't misplay, and I'm sure I can win. I throw the Blast Burn because I know a Dragon Claw isn't going to KO at that range. They decide to shield though, which is you know, questionable because now I can just farm them down. So I get the farm down, which is really good for myself, and it puts them in a very awkward position. I'm just going to throw the Blast Burn. I don't expect them to shield because I have a Blaziken in the back, so it's very unlikely. They let it go. And they have an Ampharos in the back. So getting to this Blast Burn is very crucial because I really need the shield or the chip damage. The Blast Burn goes through, and at this point the game is pretty much over. There's nothing they can do. So GG's to my opponent. They got hard countered, but yeah, that's just part of GBL, guys. It can't be helped. On to the next match against Remy. Blaziken into another Abomasnow. So at this point, like, because we had the Snowverse Spotlight Hour not too long ago, I just assumed they're all XLs, but no guarantees. A little bit of lag right here, but it's unfortunate because I should have been able to throw the Blaze Kick before they got their charge move off, which is very unfortunate, but it is what it is. Lag happens in this game. I'm going to throw the Blaze Kick, and my initial intention was to throw Blaze Kick and then swap out, but it didn't work out that way. So it could be a Shadow Ball, could be a Shadow Punch. I call it correctly, and it's perfectly fine. They get the Hydro Cannon off, and they let it go. Fine. And they come back in with a Bomb of Snow. They decide to throw before I get to the charge move, so they want to preserve the HP. They definitely could have overfarmed at the expense of taking a Drill Peck, but I guess they prefer the HP more. I come in with Blaziken, and this is a very, very unfavorable position for them to be in. Yeah, they quit, and honestly, I don't blame them because I would get to another Blast Burn before they got to a charge move again. So they would either throw an Aerial Ace or an Ancient Power, depending on what they have. But at that point, it's just too little too late. And just very unfavorable team comp alignment for them. So this second set is just solid leads and just like basic play of, you know, maintaining your lead. Blaziken into Charizard. This is really just dependent on what fast move my opponent has. So in this case, they have Fire Spin, and it's a little bit more playable. I go for the bait first, and they need to make the decision, either call it or just shield. So I get the first shield, which is as planned and very fortunate. No matter what they throw, I know that I can take the move. Most people usually go for Dragon Claw, but this person goes for the Blast Burn, which is a little unfortunate. Because I do have a Brave Bird here, I am going to shield just to get it off, and it's up to them to make a decision whether to shield it or not. So they definitely can win switch advantage if they choose to shield here. I won't have enough HP to get to another charge move, and they decide to let it go. So this guarantees I win switch advantage, and that's very fortunate because that's definitely what I needed. My Empoleon aligns with the Lapras, and if my Charizard aligned with the Lapras, then that would have been disastrous. So at this point, I'm very confident in my position, but at the same time, I don't know what they have in the back at this point. So I just have to play it out organically. Just stay in with the Empoleon and only switch unless they switch, or just stay in depending on how much energy I have. They go for the Skull Bash. And it's always important to throw the Drill Peck before they get to a Skull Bash, because you want to make sure that first Drill Peck is not mitigated by the Skull Bash defense buff. They have a Venusaur in the back, and I have a Charizard. So at this point, the game is pretty much over. It's such a favorable position for myself that it's very difficult for me to lose this match. I'm going to go for the Blast Burn here because I know a Dragon Claw doesn't KO with that range. They decide to let it go. I have a shield, and I have a Dragon Claw ready, so I can definitely just, you know, get the Dragon Claw off just to pressure the shield. And the opponent would be forced to use energy, so they wouldn't have much for my Blaziken. So no matter which way I play this out, I'm confident I could have won this game no matter, you know, which way it went. They're gonna get the Surf off and KO my Charizard. At this point, it's just too little too late. I'm just gonna get to a Drill Peck and KO them. They don't have enough for a Skull Bash, and a Surf wouldn't KO at that range, so it's GG. And well played to my opponent, but unfortunately, just another very favorable lead for myself. And upcoming should be the last match of the second set. So as of right now, I am 8-1. So yeah, my overall opinion on this team, it's very susceptible to a lot of things. I think if you want to balance out the team a bit more, you could either get rid of the Charizard or the Blaziken, either or. My main focus was to commit to a team that had Blaziken, so I definitely wouldn't do that. I honestly think that, I don't have one personally because I never built one, but I think Kingdra with Blaziken is very solid. They pretty much cover a lot of each other's weaknesses, and the third Pokemon is pretty much based on what you see in GBL, or if you want to double down on the riskier side and just go for it. This last match, Swampert, very unfavorable lead for myself, and as you can see, the game stalled on my end when I was playing this match on stream. I'm very behind on energy. I think I missed out on 2 counters, so very unfortunate. And at this point, not only do I have a really bad lead, being behind on energy is so detrimental just because I just won't have enough energy to potentially bait and then chip it down with another Blaze Kick, depending on how they want to play it out. So I get the first shield, which is good, but at this point, I already feel defeated. Like, there's not much I can do here. I'm just gonna go for the Blaze Kick because I know I'm not gonna get to a Brave Bird. And they double shield, which is very fortunate for me. I could have tried to catch a move, but in a no-shield scenario, that's just not too practical. Taking a potential Hydro Cannon or even an Earthquake or Sludge Wave, yeah, I'm just in a very, very terrible position right now. So I bring in Empoleon, and this is where I royally screw up. So, obviously, if I had an energy advantage, the swap-in wouldn't be too bad. But I kind of instinctively swapped it because I saw the Grass-type icon. And swapping in Charizard into Tangrowth is terrible because Tangrowth has Rock Slide, which is double super effective on Charizard because of the flying and rock and the fire typing. So when I did that, I knew the game was immediately over. The optimal play would have been to stay in with Empoleon. I had a slight energy advantage, but Tangrowth still wins the no shields because they can go Power Whip and then Rock Slide, and the combined Vine Whip damage would be able to KO me. So yeah, I definitely should have stayed in with Empoleon instead of swapping into Charizard. But boy, oh boy. I see a Venusaur in the back, and I think to myself, I definitely could have potentially won, but it still would have been very tricky because they still had Swampert up. And it still had a fair amount of HP, so in hindsight, I honestly don't think I could have won this game. But yeah, that's the last match of this set. GG's to my opponent. Very unfortunate that I lagged at the beginning, but honestly, I don't think it affected the outcome too much. And yeah, that's the final set. So as you can see, I went 4-1 again. So for an overall record of 8-2 between these two sets. I think the team is, very risky, but as long as you're sticking to your win cons and just focusing on playing your best, no matter what you play in GBL, I think that's pretty much, trivial. People always say stuff like, but what happens if you see this Pokemon Chen? Or like, what happens if you're facing a very bad position? Well, honestly guys, if I'm faced with a hard counter, there's really not much I can do about it. If I'm getting hard countered, I'm gonna get hard countered. Swampert obviously is one of the worst Pokemon I can see in the lead. Things like Drifblim as well. But I'm not worried about what I may or may not see. I'm just focusing on sticking to my own game plan and, you know, capitalizing on my opponent's mistakes. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I truly enjoyed playing Blaziken. I think the Pokemon itself was a lot of fun, and playing it with Charizard just made it an extra bit of, it made it very exciting. I'm probably gonna stop playing it, not because I don't think it's a good Pokemon. I think it's extremely relevant at this current moment in time. But, you know, I want to try out new things. We still have a month of GBL left, so I just want to expand on my knowledge of other Pokemon and just have some fun. But yeah, thank you guys so much for sticking around for the video. If you liked it, if you enjoyed what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and, you know, feel free to tell me what's going on in your personal GBL careers and if you've managed to, you know, achieve your goals or not. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.